Justin. Welcome to
Before our Prime Minister speaks, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. First of all, I forgot to mention our Minister, who's incredibly important to us. Of course, the Prime Minister is very important, but she's even more important because she's from here. Filomena Tassi, so please do not forget that Minister Tassi has been great to us over the years. Whatever help we've always needed, we've always had cooperation from them. And also, I wanted to mention a couple of things about the Prime Minister. This is a guy, long time ago, when I used to kiss you guys for signing up memberships for when he ran for the leadership. You know why we did all that? If you remember the previous Prime Minister, he wanted to have a snitch line for us, and he wanted to make sure that we were old stock or new stock stuff. This guy made sure our Canadians are Canadians, so I'm very proud to have him here at our mosque in Hamilton to speak about the president. And I know for sure whatever the Islamophobia stuff that's going on, I know this guy personally, I know he's going to do well, and his staff and everybody else that's around him, all the ministers that are there, they're going to do well for our community, and they're going to do well for everybody, because democracy only works if there are minorities that take care of. And I know this Prime Minister will definitely do that. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. What a pleasure to be with you here this morning, my friends. Eid Mubarak. And I will tell you, it's been a long year, and it is so good to see people gathering again. Not quite as crowded in as we're used to still, but knowing that we're able to gather now together because Canadians across the country in so many different places, in so many different communities, have been stepping up to keep each other safe. It is a better summer than we had over the past many months. Because of the tremendous efforts and leadership of this community, amongst others. I want to highlight what a pleasure it is to be back in Hamilton with Minister Filomena for all of you, and a strong voice around our cabinet table. The opportunity to celebrate Eid together with family, slightly more gatherings, celebration with the kids, is also a recognition of it's a time of reflection, a time of sacrifice. And we've all known a lot about sacrifice over the past year and a half, as we've had to limit our movements, as we've had to stay home to keep each other safe, as we've stepped up to get vaccinated. It has been a story here in Canada of people coming together, and in this moment of reflection, it is good to also think about our responsibilities towards a better future. We live in a wonderful country where Canadians have understood, perhaps quicker than anyone else around the world, that differences and diversity can and must be a source of strength, a source of resilience, a place where we are made stronger by being able to learn from each other, from different perspectives, different faiths, different backgrounds, different stories. And that has made Canada unbelievably strong and resilient and focused on building a better world for everyone, not just for a few. But at the same time, Canada is not immune to the divisions, to the hatred, the anger that does exist around the world and here in Canada. Time and time again over the past years, we have been reminded as the ugly face of Islamophobia has raised its head, whether it was in Quebec City at the St. Foy Mosque, whether it was losing Mohammed Zafis last year in Mississauga to a terrible attack, whether it's the tragic loss of the Afzal family in London, whether it was two Muslim women here in Hamilton being faced with an attack of hatred last week. This is unacceptable. And it's scary. Because we've seen from a time where a number of years ago there was real concern about, oh, is it safe to go to a mosque? Now, women in Canada, people of faith, are worried, is it safe to walk the streets in Canada? That is unacceptable, but it is the reality. And even as Canada comes to grips with the terrible mistakes of our past in regards to Indigenous peoples and residential schools, we must so too understand the impact today on Indigenous peoples of residential schools, but we also must understand the impact today of the hatred that still exists in pockets of our society. And we know, and you know better than everyone, that people in Hamilton of all faiths and backgrounds, people across the country of all faiths and backgrounds, are good, are welcoming, our friends, our allies. But it is not just time for us all as Canadians to wait for someone else to put an end to radicalization or violence. We need all of us, Muslim, non-Muslim, to recognize that the intolerance and hatred that exists around the world also exists in Canada. And it is, yes, important that governments act as we have and as we will continue to, whether it was officially recognizing Islamophobia a number of years ago with M103, to tremendous and troubling debate in the House of Commons, where people are still resisting the idea of Islamophobia. Or whether it's moving forward on commemorating a day in January against Islamophobia in commemoration of the Quebec City attacks. Or whether it's by investing in security infrastructure, or moving as we have on stronger measures against online harms, and changing the justice, working on transforming our justice system to be better about going after hate speech on the internet. There are lots of things that governments can, and you know we will continue to do. But it won't be enough just for governments to act, even a federal government. It needs to be all Canadians, Muslim and non-Muslim, to realize that we are facing a time where we need to pull together strongly and every day be there to be allies for each other. Because yes, we've seen a terrible rise in Islamophobia, but we've also seen a terrible rise in anti-Asian racism, in misogyny, in anti-LGBT acts, in attacks on the Jewish community, in anti-Semitism, and anti-black racism. This time of COVID has been a time of stress on everyone, and unfortunately, the worst elements have been able to foment division and anger. And the counter to that, as much as we'd like it to be, oh, the government ought to pass another law, and we will. But the counter to that actually comes from each of us in our communities, in our cities, of reaching out to each other, interfaith dialogue, but engagement and education in the fullness of living alongside and celebrating our differences. These are the things that we are challenged with, but these are the occasions I know we will rise to. The Muslim community in Canada is strong and deeply but also as we look to a brighter future, as we work together to build a better Canada than the one we have now. And that, my friends, is what I am so looking forward to doing alongside all of you. This community has never been frightened of a little hard work, nor have I. We will roll up our sleeves together, and we will continue to build this Canada, to build our Canada even better. Shukran. Happy Eid Al-Adha, Eid Mubarak.